spent all his savings on this abandoned courtyard and spent 3 years and 6 months to turn the dilapidated house into a sunset fortress that was enough to resist the loss. The small courtyard in front of him has been abandoned for many years. Although there are green weeds everywhere, the everywhere white wildflowers add a different taste to the dilapidated scene. After passing through the dense forest, he found that not only the side walls were badly damaged, but the front walls also gave people a feeling of collapsing at any time. After a simple tour, Afei decided to start cleaning from the entrance to the house to make it easier to get in and out. At this time, his good brother also joined in. Seeing that the two of them were familiar with the operation of cutting grass, they began to cut the weeds on the ground with unrecognizable steps. Fortunately, there were no trees growing in this area, so the two of them only took a short time to clean up the weeds. After that, the good brother who pursued perfection also removed the vine that was entangled on the iron door and then came to the garbage packing session. But don't look at the small area here. One of the weeds cut down was enough to transport 20 oil cans. After cleaning up the larger debris, the small garbage scattered on the ground and naturally sent to our antifreeze machine. Because of the strong wind, the small garbage spontaneously clustered together, and the two of them quickly packed it up. After that, they also fixed the corners of the corners of the corners. Then the good brother used the grass cutter to cut the ground at a 360-degree angle. This picture looks very comfortable. Next is this big tree at the corner of the wall. Its thick trunk is close to the wall. If it continues to develop according to this trend, it will inevitably squeeze into the small house, swaying and falling. For this, Afei was also merciless. Holding the oil can was a cut. And in order to facilitate the transport and transfer, he also cut the trunk. But this is obviously not a good sign. After all, there are still large tree roots left at the corner of the wall. Then Afei had to cut them down. After eliminating these hazards, they transported the small logs on the ground. In addition, even the bricks scattered on the corner of the wall were cleaned up by the two of them. After a busy day, a lot of wood chips scattered on the road. For this, you still have to use the wind machine to walk again. After the whole massage, the look after cleaning is simply not too cool. And Afei, in order to match such a delicate transition, just started to clean the weeds behind the house. Seeing such a smooth and relaxed picture, I can't help but want to lie down. After removing the weeds on the ground, the roots of the hidden ones also showed up. Afei, who was afraid of being tricked, also removed them immediately. And their habit is also very good. Every time a good area is cleaned up, it is immediately packed and disposed of. In this way, not only can it not affect the next work, but also avoid the trouble of cleaning up in the later stage. During the conversation, the two of them used the grass cutting machine to finely grind the remaining plant roots on the ground. After that, they used the wind machine to sweep the tail, and the area next to it was completely rescued. Then they also took a breath and continued to clean up the gaps on the left side of the house. I have to say that the power of the grass cutting machine is really strong. It must be installed in the bench E300. With the passage of time, the two of them were tired enough, so they just set up a bunch of hooks and burned these rotten leaves on the spot. The organic chemical produced by such burning can also play a role in fertilizing the soil. Just when the two of them were busy with the heat, the sky was gradually shrouded by dark clouds. It looks like a storm is coming. After the two of them packed up the garbage on the ground, they didn't even have time to drink a sip of water and started a fierce weed removal plan. After cleaning up this pile of dry wood, the two of them slowed down a little bit. In order to increase the area of use of the yard, Afei also packed them up and transported them away. You can see that the yard is very large. If you can make good use of it and plant some potatoes, you will be able to eat fresh vegetables at any time in the future. It must be a yearning for a better life in the future. Cleaning work also came to the front of the house. Here, the vine is intertwined with the tree. After using a saw to hit the head, you can remove the weeds in it. It's just that in the summer, when I heard the rustling of this thorn, I couldn't help but light a cigarette. After cutting the weeds on the ground, the best way to deal with the vines that are entangled on the branches is to gather them together with the big tree. But this time the sky is not working. A storm is coming. The two of them had no choice but to let go of their hands first. The next day has passed. After a night of rest, the physical strength has obviously recovered a lot. The grass in my hand is covered with dust. If you run into a tree while cleaning, Afei will pick it up and throw it away. But you need to pay special attention to this area in front of you. Cicadas may hide under the jungle. So the two of them are also very careful. Fortunately, there is no danger. After cleaning up here roughly, they decided to remove the vine on the fence first. And what is surprising is that they also harvested a few wild big cows on the way. To know this precious food, 500 grams per 500 grams is more than a caddy. The protein is 80% of beef. So Afei also put them all in the bag. After cleaning up the fence, with the help of good brothers, Afei cut off the extra trees in the yard. Then it's the highlight of this cleaning. Due to the waste of many years, a 1,000-year-old tree has grown in the yard. Its thick trunk is interspersed horizontally. Unfortunately, Afei can only use the fence to cut a little bit from the outside. After a while, Afei started to cut. With the sound of a thud, the big tree trunk finally fell to the ground. The yard was brightened more than a little. But it's not over yet. Considering the tough vitality, plus the fertile soil here, if you don't cut the rest of the tree trunk, I believe it will grow a new branch soon. Afei also accelerated the speed of cutting. After 2.5 hours of work, the 1,000-year-old tree was finally cut in half. And because the branches have been covered by the sun for many years, there are not too many weeds on the ground. After 2 people just used a grass cutter to polish it, they started to clean the yard in front of the house. Fortunately, the muddy ground here is full of yellow fallen leaves on the ground. But there is only a little mess on the ground. It didn't take them too long. Then Afei moved into the new house as soon as possible. This is how he and his good brother packed up the garbage on the ground. With 2.5 years of cleaning experience, the ground under the fallen leaves was finally revealed. And then there was a new problem. The dust floating in the air has formed thick glue on the ground. It's obviously too slow to clean it up with a hammer. If you want to quickly and efficiently remove it, you still have to rely on a multi-purpose grass cutter. After arranging the whole set to be serviced, it's time to clean up again. After cleaning up the yard, Afei climbed to the roof of the side room. With the cooperation of the 2 people, the dragon snake orchid that grew on it also fell off. After cutting off the dust, it immediately gave people a feeling of being rich. After that, the 2 people did not do anything. Not only did they remove the copper plate that climbed to the roof, but even the dust collected above was cleaned up by